Shabbat shalom, everyone. Okay, hold on a second. I know there are not that many of you, but you can do better than that, especially since it's our first time back together in 66 Shabbatot. So Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
It is so incredibly wonderful to be here with all of you this evening as we welcome in Shabbat and finally return to getting to be with each other. We are going to begin. As you can see, we have all of our words on the walls for those of you who are here in our sanctuary. And hopefully it is working for you all on the Zoom and you can hear me. If you can't, please let Drew know. He will help with that. We're going to sing words of Hine Ma Tov because it is just so good to be together. Hine Ma Tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Ma Tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. One of the nice things about being back together in person is that we can hear you sing, but that means I need to hear you sing. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. 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 Chanita, can I invite you up for candles spontaneously? I am. Do you know anyone else here called Chanita? Amen. Shabbat shalom. Thank you. You're welcome to stay up here if you want to stay for Kiddush, or you can go back to your seat. Oh, you can stay up here if you want for Kiddush, or you can go back to your seat.
I can do the kiddush.
Okay, but we're going to do a blessing for all of our loved ones. Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. Yisa Adonai panav elecha ve'asem lecha shalom. Shalom, shalom. Yasem lecha shalom, shalom. Ve'asem lecha shalom. Shalom, shalom. Yasem lecha shalom, shalom. Ve'asem lecha shalom. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava u'ratzon hinchilanu. Zikaron le'maaseh b'reshit, ki hu yom techila le'mikra'ei kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, min kol ha'amim. V'shabbat kodshecha, ve'ahava u'ratzon, hinchaltanu. Amen. Yasher koach. Sing unto God, all the earth, a new song. We'll sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God, and we'll all sing along. All the earth, a new song unto God. Shirul Adonai, kol haaretz. Shirul Adonai, shir chadash. Sing unto God, all the earth, a new song. We'll sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God, and we'll all sing along. All the earth, a new song unto God. Shirul Adonai, Shirul, Shirul Adonai, Shir Chadash. We welcome Sabbath bride. בדיבור אחד, והשמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו תפארת, אלי תהילה. Shabbat, lechu enelcha, imekor haberacha, lerosh mikedem, nesucha, sof naseh. As you are comfortable, la la la, likrat kala, ya la 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 la, penei Shabbat, ekabela, boi veshalom, ateret bala, gam besimcha. Am segula, boichala, boichala, ya la lecha dodi, ya la likat kala, ya la penei Shabbat, leka. I see you wiggling in your seat over there. If you want to dance, you're welcome to. Tzadik katamar yifrach, yifrach, tzadik katamar yifrach. Tzadik katamar yifrach, yifrach, tzadik katamar yifrach. Kerez balvano nizge, kerez balvano nizge, kerez balvano nizge, yizge. Katamar yifrach, yifrach, tzadik katamar yifrach. Tzadik katamar yifrach, yifrach, tzadik katamar yifrach. Kerez balvano invite you to rise as you are comfortable in body or in spirit. Chatzi Kaddish. Yitgadal ve'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah ve'almad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uvyomechon uvchayedecho Beit Yisrael bagala bagala uvizman kariv ve'meru amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevarach, ve'alam ulal me'al maya, yitbarach, yitbarach ve'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam ve'yitnaseh, ve'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shemei dikudasham brichu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, tamiran be'alma ve'imeru. Amen. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Barechu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. We join together. God, I thank you. You created this world full of beauty and love, peace and wonder, life and hope. You formed morning, evening, the sun and the moon, the water that I drink and the fresh air that I breathe. You created me, my mind, my heart, my spirit. All that I am is because of who you made me to be. The best gift you gave me is freedom. You built a world in which I can learn and grow, a world that is never complete, so that I may continue to enrich it. For all this, for all your creations, I thank you and praise you, God. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Day and night, show us the way, teaching us to number our days. When we rise and when we lie down, ahavat olam, ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael amchavta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limandeta. Day and night, show us the way, teaching us to number our days. When we rise and when we lie down, ahavat olam. You can pick your favorite part. Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael amchavta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limandeta. Day and night, show us the way, teaching us Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Me'olam Va'ed. You may be seated. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, ושלתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Together, teach us, God, to treasure the differences that distinguish one person from another. Fill us with the strength to overcome senseless fear and hatred. Open our hearts to the radiance that shines forth from every human soul. Inspire us to shed our apathy. Remind us that it is our obligation to be responsible for one another. Open our ears to the cries of all who are in need of our assistance. Give us the courage to combat prejudice and intolerance wherever they exist. Teach us to see each other through your eyes, God. In your eyes, all people are equally loved, equally precious. Bless us all, God, with compassion, with kindness, and with peace. Okay, I chose to do some rounds here because now that we can actually sing in person, it means that different sides can do different things. So you ready for this? We'll start together. Remember this tune now? Okay. This side. Are you ready? You're going to start this side, both sections. You're going to follow. You're going to start the second time around, okay? I'll be with you all. Don't worry, I got you. Rachel, you're going to lead this side, right? Sure. Great. Together, Michamoch. Michamoch ba'elim Adonai. Michamoch ne'edar ba'kodesh. Thank you, Todd, for clapping. We're still going. how different things are when you can't just mute people. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. השיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השיבנו Baruch Ata Adonai, Haporei Sukat Shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Ve'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, ve'dorotam berito la'am. Ve'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ונפש, שבת ונפש, שבת ונפש. Sorotam Beritolam. I invite you to rise as you are comfortable in body or in spirit as we turn to the Amidah. Adonai Sefatai Tiftach Ufi Agi Tehilatecha Adonai Sefatai Tiftach Ufi Agi Tehilatecha Adonai Sefatai Tiftach Ufi Agi Tehilatecha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu Vimotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ahel Hagadol Hagibor Ve'hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim Vekonei Hakol V'zocher Chastei Avot V'imot Umevi Gula Livnei V'neihem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah Ata Gibor Leolam Adonai Mechayei Hakol Ata Rav Lehoshia Morid Hatal Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed Mechayei Hakol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Verofech Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Bal Gevurot Umida Melech Melech Memit Umechaye Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'eman Ata L'Chayot Hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayei Hakol Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kedoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. You may be seated. We join together in a prayer for Shabbat. May the Shabbat that is here bring comfort to all who grieve, sweetness to all who are in need, and balm for our wounded places. May it bring us rest and gentleness and light. May Shabbat enable us to shed our world-weary weekday faces and to soak in gratitude and wonder. May we feel connected with those whom we love and with our deepest selves and with our source. May we emerge from Shabbat nourished and ready to meet the new week. For now, may we greet Shabbat with joy. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. On this Shabbat day, as you graciously receive our prayers, help us to hear your call. Grant us enough health to fulfill our duties and the compassion we need to attend to others. Teach us humility that we may perceive our own faults, and grant us the wisdom to be forgiving of others. Give us the courage to be true to our highest selves and the charity to see the best in those around us. Give us patience enough not to become discouraged, hope enough to overcome all fears for the future, and faith enough to know your presence. O source of blessing, look with favor upon us. May our offerings be acceptable to you. We praise you, Adonai, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. The prayer of gratitude for the gifts of our souls, for the promise of our lives, for all we are and all we might yet become, for the creative seeds sown within our minds, whose nurturing can yield a grand harvest. For all these, we thank you, O God, and pray that we prove ourselves worthy. May our lives be ripe with the fruit of compassion, sweetly sustaining those in need. May we use our gifts wisely and with love, true messengers of blessing to the world. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha u'lecha na'eh lehodot. We pray for peace this and every Shabbat, but especially this Shabbat being the first Shabbat of a new government in Israel, and one that actually includes a wide range of the population in Israel. For the first time, for example, it includes some of the Israeli Arabs, first time in its history. And we pray that this new government will have the strength to actually bring peace to all of its inhabitants, just as we pray for peace here and everywhere. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. 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 Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael, bashalom. We take a few moments now to offer the prayers of our hearts. On each and every Shabbat, we think of those who are in need of healing of mind, healing of body, healing of spirit. As my eyes meet yours, I invite you to share the names of those you're thinking of. I also may have some names that have been shared with us as well. So on this Shabbat, we think of healing for the following loved ones. Shout them out loud because I can't hear with masks. We also think of B. Kornman, Susan Horn, George Gurneth, Kathy Lowry, Jane Garboden, Lori Seltz, Yocheved Chana bat Nechama Dovka, Harav Rachel bat Shmuel Ufruma, Chana Rachel bat Betty, Jerry Spargel, Shirley Spargel, Carlotta Page, Shira Hadassah bat Sarah, Richard, Terry Walsh, Priscilla Wade, Howard Block, Judy Anderson, Adrian Gibson, and Cheryl Gibson. Find the courage Well, that's funny. Now I see myself on screens all over me. Okay, so now that there are some of us here live, we can actually do some interactive Devar Torah. So let's just get reoriented to where we are in the Torah. Let's start with what book we're in. What was that? Numbers. We're in the book of Numbers. What parsha? Chukat. Good. Okay. Some of you are using the resources that are right in front of you. What's been happening? Okay, so we've got Miriam's death in this parsha. That is the very least thing that happens in this parsha. I'll talk more about that in a little bit. What else happens? What was that? Aaron dies, yes. So there is a transition of authority and leadership from Aaron to his now eldest son, Eleazar. And then Aaron dies, and the community mourns him for 30 days. What else happens? There is no water, so we're going to get a lot about the Israelites being thirsty. And when the Israelites, so if you've ever heard me talk about numbers, you know that I think that it should not be called numbers, it should be called complaints. Because the whole book is essentially a series of complaints, one after the other. We might get out of the first parsha without a single complaint, but then from then on, every single parsha has at least one, if not multiple complaints, rebellions. The Israelites are whiny. Book of complaints. And this one, it's about thirst. And so they complain to Moses and Aaron, sort of rebelliously. The way I told it to the kids during Tat Shabbat earlier is that it's like the kids on the car ride. They're like, I'm tired, I'm hungry, are we there yet? I'm thirsty. And parents don't always respond so well to that. And Moses doesn't, and so what does he do? Right, instead of speaking to the rock as God said, Moses hits the rock. There's still more that happens in this parsha, if you can believe it. It starts off with the laws of the red heifer, the para aduma, to talk about how to purify from the most severe forms of impurity. Then without really any sort of introduction, except that it's the first of the month, that's the beginning of the first month, we've somehow spanned 38 years from the previous parsha, which included Korach's rebellion, and now it's 38 years later. So it's the 40th year of the Israelites' journey through the wilderness. And then there's this really weird section towards the end where the people start complaining again, and God sends these potentially fiery snakes. At the very least, they're snakes, maybe also fiery, depending on how you interpret the language. And the snakes start biting people, and they die because that's typically what happens. And so Moses has to build, I always imagine it like Jafar's staff in Aladdin, which like a snake, it's some sort of snake stick that when people look into its eyes, they're healed. And then there's some stuff with trying to pass through different territories and the people of those territories not wanting the Israelites to go through, even if they promise to stick to the road and pay for anything they use. And then there's some ensuing battles. I think that's everything. Chock full, right? And so you would expect with such an extensive parsha, like with so much stuff in it, and then we get this really extensive description about Aaron's leadership and authority as the high priest gets transferred to his son. So you might expect something similar for Miriam, right? Miriam's death merits less than half a verse. There is the rest of the verse talks about how it is the first of the month, or it is the first month, and the Israelites have made this journey, and Miriam dies. It's barely a footnote as the scene opens on this 40th year since the Israelites left Egypt. I will say this, the ancient rabbis don't actually like that Miriam gets so little honor. So they use an interpretive technique called smichut parshiot. I'll say that again, smichut parshiot, which can be translated as the principle of adjacent passages. And as the name suggests, the rabbis read two texts that are next to each other as being related rather than simply next to each other. So we see the same technique after the Akedah, the binding of Isaac. Sarah dies, and so the rabbis interpret causality. Sarah here has now heard what happened on the mountaintop and dies of a broken heart. We see it also with the death of Aaron's two oldest sons, Nadav and Avihu. They bring a strange fire, they die. The next thing that happens is we get a law about not being intoxicated in the tabernacle. And so the rabbis assume that, that Nadav and Avihu died because they were drunk. And so we get the same thing here. The verses immediately after the text of Miriam's death are the Israelites complaining about a lack of water. So I will say they also complain that there aren't any figs or pomegranates or grain or grapes, which is a really interesting difference from other times that they complain about food, but I'm not going to go too much into that. Mostly, though, their complaint is about water. They're thirsty. They wonder why they've been sent out to this wilderness to die. And so using the principle of smichut parshiot, the rabbis understand this lack of water as the result of Miriam's death. They say that Miriam had access to a special well that traveled with her throughout the journey in the wilderness. And when she died, the well disappeared, leaving the community without water. I think that the Israelites' physical thirst is accompanied by a thirst for Miriam's presence. She, Aaron, and Moses, the three siblings, serve as leaders of the Israelite community in different capacities. Moses is the political and military leader. Aaron takes on the ritual and religious leadership. And Miriam is actually the nurturer and spiritual caretaker. Upon her death, no one is left to fill that role. Her love, her care, and her compassion disappear along with her well. Without that spiritual and emotional support, the sense of community crumbles. Everyone turns inwards instead of sharing her legacy with each other. The COVID-19 pandemic, which forced us into physical isolation, could have done the same thing to our Temple Sinai community. We might have focused on our own individual needs and lashed out in frustration and fear against this community that tries to support us. Instead, we had professional and lay leadership that ensured we could maintain spiritual and social connections, even when we were physically distanced. And as important as our formal leaders are, our community has been even more blessed by all of you who stepped up to make those connections. We have thirsted for this moment of being together in person, but we never let each other thirst for community. On this first Shabbat back in our building, after 66 Shabbatot online, I want to thank all of you. For those who are here in person and those of you online, for your patience, for your kindness, and most of all for supporting this community through this extraordinarily difficult time. You were not the rebellious, self-centered Israelites of our Parsha. Instead, you are the inheritors of Miriam's legacy. Together, we have made it through the worst, and with love and compassion and kindness, we will reach the other side. stronger and full of hope with what we can create. And I hope, I pray, that the blessings that have flowed from each of you to our community during this wilderness year sustain and nourish you as well. Keni hiratzon, may this be God's will. Okay. I know that normally we would invite those of you who have birthdays to come up. Oh wait, okay, it switched too fast. I got confused. Okay, Tristan, Lenny, come on up. We are so excited. I know you are so excited that you're getting married next week. And it's so wonderful to be able to offer you a blessing in your community with our sacred text on your right and our sacred community on your left. And to stand here as you get ready to sanctify the love that you two share and the blessings that you have brought to each other. May the commitment that you make to each other next week be one that brings you blessings of strength and community and kindness and compassion. There will be times of wilderness on your journey, and I hope that you lean on each other for support and that you use the two sacred parts that are on either side of you, our text and our community, to strengthen you during those times as well. May you never be thirsty, but may you always thirst for each other so that you can find blessing now and always. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May the light of God shine on you and may God be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God's presence be lifted up to you, and may God grant you wholeness, contentment, and most of all, peace. As together we say, Amen. Mazel tov!
Thank you.
Okay, shout Mazel tov. There we go. Okay. Birthday blessings. Normally I would invite you all up here and I would give you candy, but know that I am sending all sorts of sweetness your way. If you want, you can stand up where you are when I call your name. I see you back there. And you're welcome to stand up where you are at home or to just stay seated. I know you're there. So our June birthdays include, on June 3rd was Kit Knight's birthday, and they turned 38. Paul Pitt's birthday was on June 5th, and he turned 74. Michelle Clark also turned 74 on June 7th. Jen Silver had the big 3-0 on June 8th. Mark Fagan, Alav Hashalom's birthday was on June 9th. But no, it should be Anne Fagan, right? That's what I thought. I was like, that's strange, but Anne, okay. Great. Anne turned 91 on June 9th. Arlene Smith turned 88 on June 10th and is also celebrating 58 years as a member of Temple Sinai. That was as of May 31st. Yeah. Risa Rosenthal turned 65 on June 11th. Darcy Bernstein, I know that you're on Zoom with us, turned 71 on the 17th. That was yesterday. And Rhoda, happy birthday. Rhoda Darfson turns 77 today. And then tomorrow, Jan Kornman turns 68. And Carl Schultz also has a birthday during June. When was it? Is it? June 23rd. Do you want to share how old? 69. So for all of you who celebrate birthdays this month, am I missing anyone? Aaron? June 24th and 64. For all of you on your birthdays this month, may you go from strength to strength and blessing to blessing. May this year be one full of health and joy, of love and of peace. And may you merit many more years of all of those things as we celebrate this milestone today. We say for many more opportunities, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Mazel tov. Okay, a few announcements. First, our musical program is made possible with generous support by Edgar Snyder and an anonymous donor. We do not have much going on this week, but it is really great to have everyone back in the building. Tomorrow morning at 8:30 will be our Torah study in the Falk Auditorium just behind us. And then we will have our Saturday morning Minyan service at 9:15. You do need to register for that, and that will be here in our sanctuary and on Zoom and on YouTube. And we'll also have, again, Friday night and Saturday morning services in person next week and following weeks. Please remember to register. Thank you, all of you, for registering to be here today. And also for wearing your masks. Yay, safety. We also have our weekly Parsha study on Wednesdays. The Zoom link is on our calendar, and evening meditation with Rhonda Rosen also on Wednesdays, and the contact info is on our website calendar as well. And
wheelbarrow they can loan us. We'll be here at 8 a.m. on Sunday for a couple hours to fill up the beds with soil and then plant.
okay, to make sure that everyone hears that, because A, the space is large, and B, no one on Zoom or YouTube would be able to hear that. The vegetable garden group is filling the raised beds that were made a number of weeks ago, and starting at 8 a.m. on Sunday, in 2 days. That would be the 20th. Yes, Sunday the 20th at 8 a.m. And if you have a wheelbarrow, that would be very helpful, even if you are not able to stay and plant. Did I get everything, Rachel? Cool. Oh, I don't need this. We are going to continue as soon as the technology decides it wants to start working in a second. One of the things that I have found as we've started to slowly come back into the building is that none of the technology wants to work anymore. It's like it decided it had a sabbatical and is now retired. Okay, well, hopefully, at least those of you in our sanctuary have prayer books behind or in front of you. And of course, because I started to talk about the prayer books, but we will be on page 586 using the blue numbers and brackets. That's presenter view. If you take it off of presenter view, okay. Well, 586, using the blue numbers in brackets. And I invite you to rise as you are comfortable in body or in spirit for Aleinu, which is now Oh, but it's not shared on the Zoom. Is it? Okay. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kugoyei haratzot, velo asamanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo asam chelkeinu kahem, v'gar aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim. Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo may be seated. As is our custom, although we have missed it over the past year, if I share the name of someone that you are remembering, whether it is the yahrzeit, the anniversary of the death of a loved one, or they have died in recent days and weeks, I invite you to rise as you are comfortable so that we can acknowledge you as a mourner. And then we will all join together so that none of our mourners have to stand alone. On this Shabbat, we are thinking of Bessie Barkley, Sylvia Barman, Stanley Bushcuff, Mark Rose Cohen, Samuel Damashek, Dean Davis, Erwin Engel, Samuel Morris Gold, Eva R. Goldstein, Sarah Gordon, Ann Unger Greenberg, Belle Grossman, Barbara Horowitz, Janice Carlton, Philip Carlton, Lissy Kramer, Betty Lampenfeld, Rose Buddy Leventhal, Norman Malikoff, Penelope Rose Miller, Arthur Mullins, Susan E. Moss, Anne Margolis Parker, Shirley Fetter-Patz, Harry J. Price, Morris Rack, Margaret Reiber, Anna Nauhaus Rosenson, Barbara Rubenstein Rosenzweig, Simcha Sabin, Sydney Schumann, Shirley Gertrude Sigismund, Bessie Simon, Saul Sonny Stevenson, Evelyn Tischerman, Marilyn Weisenbaum, Catherine Wiles, Richard Yurko, and Jerry Zawitz. We also think of Meyer Chazin, Helena Aronoff, and Stevie Friedler. And then recently we have laid to rest Judy Wolfson, the partner of Rob Shepard, and Sylvia Lasky-Frank, the grandmother of Eli Kurzlasky. Now I invite you to rise with our mourners so that they don't have to stand alone as we offer the mourners Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, ve'alma tivrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agalau v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'almei maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yithalal shmei d'kudashah b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechmata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabba min Shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates peace on high bring peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved, as together we say, Amen. For our closing song, Shehechianu, because this first time being together deserves a blessing and gratitude to God for having sustained us and brought us to this day. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
הזמן הזה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, החיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Shabbat Shalom.